I'm just asking questions.
Just one day. That's how long the truth had a chance to gasp for life before Candace Owens killed it. Owens is back using her platform to spew animus because it's time to get paid, my friends. She's provoking rage bait, calling people a TPUSA, her former company, people that she's fine with when she sees them at a party. But for you, she calls them liars who can't be trusted.
Hey guys, my name's Jason Wesley, and this is not a podcast.
This is like a level of female, black, entitled narcissism that I have never seen before. And once you look at Candace Owens through that lens, you'll never look at her the same way again. Once you realize that she is just another black female narcissist with zero shame, you'll never look at her the same way again.
So Candace has accused many people and organizations of being involved in Charlie Kirks' death, except the people that actually support her.
Yeah, I mean, my insatiable thirst is to figure out what happened that day. My gut instinct is that this was a military operation. Based off everything that I've seen and the lingering questions that I have and some other leads that we are working on, that's how I feel. And even when I was trying to find Miss Mike Mitchell, I could find the Mitchell family. I don't know if it's his family, but the Mitchell name in that area was coming up for like Air Force. Certain. Can't say 100%, okay, because we need to find this person's name, but this is a match, okay? The ears, the chin, just everything about this individual is a match. And he is also, as of yet, unidentified as the close friend of Shayna Broderick, who cannot be found anywhere else, or people are not familiar with this person. So I'm thinking maybe he also came from overseas. Revealed he gutted the Utah FBI leadership before Charlie Kirks' assassination. That is true. He fired the chief, among other people, and replaced her with Robert Bowles in August. I think Robert Bowles, actually, it was his first week when Charlie got shot. And he's somebody who has been in DC for decades. So it seems to me to be an unusual placement to then want to re-up your entire life, assuming you have a wife and kids, and move to Utah. But whatever, again, everything just feels a little too brand new to me. Yeah, I'm putting the fire here right at the feet of Turning Point because I am disgusted. I am genuinely disgusted. I am looking around and wondering whether Charlie's entire life was the Truman Show. None of you guys are behaving in the way that you should be behaving, okay? But he was signaling to other people who were like in the club to know what they needed to understand about what happened. Do you know what I mean? That's how I felt about Kash Patel's press conference and the things that he was saying. It just didn't, something felt weird about it. 33 hours. And of course, yes, he did say something about Valhalla.
To my friend Charlie Kirk, rest now, brother. We have the watch, and I'll see you in Valhalla.
Probably just a coincidence, you guys, that this operation also fits just so neatly into our timeline. I love timelines. I love neat timelines. And again, we're theorizing here, but the reason we waited to the very last second to put up posters about this event was because you actually did want to control who went there that day. I even think, and I'll have to check this, that the people that were live streaming that day had military backgrounds as well. If I wanted to control all of that, and I also wanted to use like civilians to show up, I would make sure they all knew to wear a certain shirt or to wear a certain hat so they knew who they were. That's me if I'm running a military operation, which I feel like I know.
She has said Charlie's murder, quote, had to be approved by Charlie's friends, and then suggested those friends might have her murdered too for, quote, knowing the truth.
So you notice that's like a Snopes tactic. When he says the quote, it's actually not a full quotation. I never said that. I want to know why the decision was made to murder Charlie Kirk. A decision that very clearly had to be approved by Charlie's friends.
She springboarded her show to the next level, all by filling a vacuum that Charlie left, using his death to peddle conspiracy theories, posed as just asking questions, and apparently she's the only one that really cares about getting to the bottom of Charlie Kirk's death.
I'm planning on revealing all of them, by the way. I'm just waiting for everybody to like join me. Where are Charlie's homies at? Why are you guys all silent? Something's not right. I know it's not right, okay? We don't know now, but we know. You know?
The only one? Really? I guess all the law enforcement, attorneys, judges, and everybody should just go home. Everyone that's working on the trial of Tyler Robinson, you know what? We don't need you because Candace is on the case. Erica Kirk doesn't care. TPUSA doesn't care. Law enforcement doesn't care. Candace thinks you're that stupid. She thinks that she can just make anything up, and as long as she has a narrative claiming that, I don't like it, it's weird, I don't like it, doesn't pass the vibe check, that you'll just eat up her slop. And every single day, Candace is helping Tyler Robinson's defense because she's not buying the Fed slop. Now, her supporters say that she's the only one that's actually telling the truth, and she has receipts. But does she, though? If you listen to her, she gaslights, makes up stories, isn't consistent from one episode to the next. And when she's actually challenged by journalists, she folds. And we're going to get into that. And don't get me started on the conspiracies of Calvary Chapel. Now, I'm not going to go through all of the lies in this episode, but I'll show you a couple. Remember, Candace says she hates small lies.
I would just be sickened with myself. I can't lie like that. I can't lie anywhere close to that. I can't even fib.
Now, if you remember, she said that she didn't believe the Fed slop of the text between Tyler and his lover, and mostly because the language that was used in the text, specifically the word vehicle.
There's old footage of Tyler Robinson that is now circulating from a car accident that he had. And during the discussion with the officer that showed up, Tyler certainly refers to it as his car, not his vehicle, because that's how most English speakers refer to a car unless they're in the military or on the police force. So here is 2022 police body cam footage, in case you missed that, of Tyler making a crash report.
Your mom's on her way?
Yeah, she's gonna be a minute. She's gotta shuttle over from where she's at to her car and then drive over.
Gotcha.
His mother was gonna shuttle over from her car? Interesting. There's more, of course.
Now, what's wild is later in this 3-minute clip, Tyler actually uses the word vehicle.
There's a vehicle in the lane between lanes. There was a vehicle in the lane between lanes. There was a vehicle in the lane.
It's in the same clip. Did Candace just not watch the full clip to do her own due diligence? I mean, if you're going to make a claim using a clip, it's weird that you would selectively choose the part of the clip that supports your narrative and not play the rest. It's kind of like those people that said that Trump said that there were fine people on both sides but didn't play the rest of the clip. And if it's not a lie by omission, it's blatant neglect and irresponsible.
I believe that there are lies by omission, and I view them both to be liars, okay?
Now, I've gone into that exchange, the text exchange on episode 95 of Not a Podcast, and I believe that Tyler and his lover made up the text to exonerate the lover due to his prior knowledge of the shooting, so that both of them didn't go down for the shooting of Charlie Kirk. It would only be one of them. She calls the media narrative Fed slop. But if you recall, in episode 237, she says that she has a reliable source giving her information. Watch this.
So they released the photo. And then we are told, as my source initially told me, that it was the mother who recognized Tyler, and she phones him up. Tyler says, "Mom, I'm sick." She doesn't believe it. She loops in dad, okay?
So she says her reliable source says that the parents recognize their own son. Let's compare that to the official charging documents. Robinson's mother stated the following to police on September 11th, the day after the shooting. Robinson's mother saw the photo of the shooter in the news and thought that the shooter looked like her son. Robinson's mother called her son and asked where he was. He said that he was homesick, and he had also been homesick on September 10th. Robinson's mother expressed concern to her husband that the suspected shooter looked like Robinson. Robinson's father agreed. Now, that's confirmed by Candace's extremely reliable source that she has yet to name. Robinson's father reported that when his wife showed him the surveillance image of the suspected shooter in the news, he agreed that it looked like their son. He also believed that the rifle the suspected shooter used matched a rifle that was given to his son as a gift. As a result, Robinson's father contacted his son and asked them to send a photo of the rifle. Robinson did not respond. However, Robinson's father spoke on the phone with Robinson. Robinson implied that he planned to take his own life. Robinson's parents were able to convince him to meet them at their home. So the charging documents confirms Candace's source in one episode, but then she says this in another episode.
Of most interest to me, what I've learned is that his father does not believe, his parents don't believe that their son committed this crime. I was like, huh? Excuse me? That's a far cry from what the media has been telling us. Remember, the media presented this amazing story. The father realized his son was guilty, so it goes, right? And then he phoned over a friend. That quote unquote family friend informed the family. It was that in-between person that informed the family that Tyler had been identified as the shooter. It's a far cry from what the media has been telling us. Remember, the media presented this amazing story.
Wait, the family friend? What media created this story? Maybe that media slop was you, Candace.
Candace, it may be that the person in the media spewing bullshit to the public is you.
She wants you to believe that they're lying to you, but she never says who they are. The story comes from actual evidence that her own source confirmed. Now, she demands everyone else provide evidence and sources except her. She bases her assertions on vibes, and it's weird. And in episode 271, she claims that the French Legion is involved in Charlie Kirks' assassination.
Going back to November 25th, I obviously tweeted exactly what I was informed. Okay, I'm going to read that tweet to you in its entirety. Urgent.
Now, I'm not going to bore you with reading that entire post. You can pause the video or go to X if you want to see the full post. Any emails, correspondence, anything other than, trust me, bro, you have to assume I got this information from somebody. Okay, who? You dropping everybody else's name except the names of the people that you claim that are trying to kill you? Except your source?
Again, I was very specific, and I asserted that the French Foreign Legion, which was a legion and a group that I had never heard about prior to this notification, were involved in Charlie Kirks' assassination. Okay, I don't follow military stuff, so me even mentioning specific gendarmerie, you have to assume that I got this information from somebody.
Now, she claims that she's given this information to the White House, she's given it to FBI and counterterrorism unit. Any evidence? Can you show us any of those reports that you filed? Because you sure did attack Tim Pool when his place was shot, claiming that it was a fake shooting he survived. Here's the actual post on X. Tim Pool working with the Washington Post on a hit piece about me is just like peak estrogen. Her social metrics were low before Charlie died, is as almost delusional as the fake shooting he survived last week. Tim responded saying this.
She is an evil person. Now, what I can say is, we do have this video. I probably shouldn't play it, but I'm going to play it for you. Some guy called the wrong sheriff's department and then asked them whether or not there was a shooting reported, to which they said no. And he says that proves that Tim's lying. The only problem is he called some random sheriff's department. Cam Higbee called the correct sheriff's department and they confirmed it. And here's the clip from Cam.
Sheriff's office. Sorry, I got tongue-tied. Sheriff's office.
No worries. Hi, this is Cameron Higbee. I just wanted to call and verify receipt of a report that should have been filed with you guys. Tim Pool's compound, and I wanted to make sure that you guys are aware of that. It would have been last night, so it would have been the night of 12/5. It might have been reported the following morning.
Okay, so it says here it was a third-party caller that called it in.
Okay. And what road did you say that was?
Oh.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Just want to check if that would be the right road. So it was a third-party caller, and was it that incident I described where somebody drove up and kind of just shot at the place?
Yes.
Amazing. Okay. Well, I'm glad that's on your guys' radar, and that was in, right?
Yes, sir.
Amazing. Okay. Thank you so much for verifying that. I appreciate it a lot.
The funny thing is, Cam has confirmed report independently. I have not talked to him about this, and they're now claiming still that it didn't happen.
Who's the one person that Tim Pool has been beefing with hard for a few weeks now?
Candace.
Candace Owens. Where was she? I'm not accusing anybody. I would never. I'm just connecting dots. I'm just asking questions. Guys, I'm just asking questions.
I see what you're doing here.
I don't know if I thought about it. People are telling me, like, it could have come in a dream. I don't know. But where was Candace when Tim Pool? I would never accuse her of such a thing. I would never. But where was she? You know? I don't know. But I know. But you know what I know? You know.
Candace always wants someone else to answer her questions, give her all their evidence. But I think Megyn Kelly had a message for you, Candace. She didn't specifically name anyone. And, I don't know, but I know,
But because I am a sane person who understands the law, I also know that the FBI, does not run around updating its investigation and releasing the very latest on what they found. And people who are demanding that the FBI or DOJ do so do not know anything about law enforcement. The FBI does not run around updating its information after somebody gets indicted. It doesn't. It would be extraordinary if it were to do so. And the DOJ is extremely tight-lipped, normally, on its criminal cases. When it's not, it's behaving inappropriately.
What about that 9/11 style attack that we were supposed to have the second week of December? I guess it hasn't aged that well. Anyway, who is they? They're signaling. They think we're stupid. They want us to believe this Fed slop.
When we say, I don't want to listen to this podcaster because they're trying to get me to eat this Fed slop, this is how we're voting. I mean, so many people are going down. It's like something about the Charlie Kirk assassination. We're looking around and we're going, guys, are you really going to try to impart this operation upon us where you go, if we keep saying it, eventually the public will accept it. They'll just eat the Fed slop.
Listen, if you're a foreign agent and you want to spread disinformation, all you have to do is contact Candace at tips@candace.com and tell her that you're looking out for her and give her some wild information. Just say that she's going to be attacked by whatever it is. Okay, you can make up whatever you want if you're a foreign agent and get her to disseminate it to millions of people because she doesn't care whether it's right or wrong. It's about confusion. And for some, it's about how many clicks you can get, which also turns into money and notoriety. And for narcissists, they love that. Now, if you've ever studied the Tower of Babel in Genesis, you'll understand what confusion does. Here's a short animated clip from Bible Chronicles.
Then, in an instant, the order of the world shifted. The tower, the city, the bustling workforce, all froze, as if time itself had stuttered. One man called for bricks, and the worker beside him shook his head in confusion. Another shouted for mortar, but no one understood. Words became meaningless sounds, and commands were ignored. Plans faltered, shouts rang through the streets, but none met comprehension. Bricks clattered to the ground. Kilns hissed with molten tar, spilling over in chaos. Turmoil broke out where unity had once reigned. Confusion spread. The marketplace burst into panic. Groups began to form, each understanding only those who shared their new speech. Misunderstanding turned to frustration, and frustration turned to anger. Friends turned on one another, bewildered by the sudden breakdown of communication. The tower, once climbing steadily, stood frozen, incomplete. And so the people scattered. Unable to communicate, families and clans drifted apart. Some journeyed north, others south, others east or west. They spread across the plains, into the mountains, to the coasts and islands, each group carrying with them its own language, its own identity.
Confusion causes chaos. Chaos causes division. Candace and others have become chaos agents. Now, I'm not going to get into the lie that she said of any time, any place. And when TPUSA gave her a time and a place, she agreed and then she bails when it's not on her schedule, the way she wants to do it because she can't control the narrative. She did end up meeting with Erica Kirk after Erica explicitly told her to stop. And Candace said that she would stop if Erica or her husband, who may be gay, told her to stop.
Okay, so I want to be very clear here. No one, and I mean absolutely no one, outside of my husband and Erica Kirk has the power to shut me up right now. That's it.
And the reason why I say maybe gay is because of messages like this from Raheem Kassam back in 2022. How are you all just hearing about this? I called her out on her hubby trying to grope me and kiss me multiple times. She blocked me for it. Now, before I play Candace backtracking, I think Tim Pool's perspective on what Candace has said is interesting.
Candace Owens hated Charlie Kirk. And I was surprised to hear this, but I received a tip. Several prominent conservatives have confirmed to me and my crew that Candace Owens had been going around shortly before he died, within the months before his death, saying that she hated him. Now, I wonder if she really hated him. Maybe she was just scornful, second wife syndrome. Maybe she actually really loved him, but when he chose Erica over her, she became resentful and angry, sour grapes, trying to find a reason why something was wrong with him. And she chose a different life. I look at everything she's doing now. She's attacking Erica Kirk directly, a grieving widow who has to now deal with a life without a husband and a father for her children. What is this?
Well, now you're going to have to prove that you have the ability to be a CEO and a chairman and not just a wife who we expect emotion from. And you're rightful in that capacity. You are rightful to have emotion. You are rightful to be the aggrieved widow. But you don't get to just be widowed into the position of chairman and CEO. You don't get to respond to, well, in this case, investors, donors who have given money and are asking meaningful questions with no, you don't get replies right now because this is the Charlie Kirks show, fam. Doesn't work this way, okay?
I mean, here's Candace gleefully talking about Charlie's show dropping in ratings.
It was announced today that Charlie Kirks' show, which they are continuing, and which once upon a time enjoyed the #1 spot on Apple Podcasts, has now plummeted, right? This is a tweet. Breaking news, the Charlie Kirks show has crashed in the rankings, falling to number 94 on Apple Podcasts, even though it routinely held a top 10 spot in the past and even reached #1 when Kirk was alive. The reason for that is simple. It is clear. People are telling you how they feel, and they feel that you are not being honest. They feel that they are not getting the truth from the very people who keep trying to market themselves as his closest friends. And I'm saying marketing intentionally because it feels as though they have transformed into a badly run PR firm.
Oh, I don't know. Or maybe the ratings drop because the host is dead, Candace. Here's Candace's playbook. Pretend victimhood. Develop fake threats based on real things, claiming they've done it before and they'll do it again, then they'll name a street after you.
I think it is a circumstance where we just know. We just know that he was truly betrayed in one of the most egregious ways that I think I've ever seen. It has made me lose faith in politics. It has made me fully lose faith in Trump. And my heart aches for the fact that he gave so much of his life to Trump and to politics. And they just were like, nope, that is it. It serves us or it doesn't serve us and we want to move on. And so here's a holiday. Bro, if they try to give me a holiday, what is with them giving people a holiday after they kill them? Why is that a thing? You know what I mean? Like, oh, Martin Luther King, what about this holiday? What about this boulevard? Anyways, let me knock it off. Like, they're going to give Charlie Kirk a boulevard. They already did. They did in Israel. They gave him freaking boulevard. It's like, as soon as they give you a boulevard and a holiday, they definitely killed you. Okay, there's no question. They killed you. There's no way. That's like their signature thing. It's like, that's what they do. It's the Fed signature. It's how they sign off after they you.
She creates fake enemies. Sean Foyt is now an enemy based on what she says because he didn't pass the vibe. He's a worship leader.
This is relevant because on February 27th, this person who I hadn't heard of before, named Sean Foyt, is announced as the Turning Point USA faith contributor. Now, this guy is in partnership with Rob McCoy still today and to this day at Turning Point USA, doing Turning Point USA faith stuff. And this is also relevant because by all accounts, this guy is a sleaze. And what I mean is that people were coming forward and saying the money's looking funny with this guy. He's not a true Christian. He's faced accusations of fraud, of embezzlement. I'm painting a picture for you. But to stay on this Sean Foyt thing, I had to actually look him up. And I saw it on his biography and on Wikipedia, by the way. So I haven't done a deep dive on him by any means, but I was like, I recognize that name. And I recognize that name because many people emailed us after Charlie's assassination, and they thought Sean Foyt was the guy that was standing and cheering USA, USA. And I think he did a video and denied it, but that's the only it's the only way that I was familiar with that name. So look him up on his biography. And it tells us that he was born in Montana. He's a son of a dermatologist. That dermatologist is not named. He's, of course, a Christian Zionist, you guys. That's obvious. But he grew up playing music in a New Apostolic Reformation church, okay? Going forward, we're going to term that NAR, N-A-R, okay? And he would record prayers and prophecies that were made and impacted Foyt, it says, as he was growing up, okay? He was a part of the NAR Apostle Shea On's prayer rallies, it tells us, okay? Point being is that he is involved with NAR.
She'll make wild conspiracies posed as just asking questions, provide zero receipts, all breaking in the next episode, but never actually supported by evidence. Now, Candace does kind of a backtrack, but in true narcissist fashion, justifies it.
They were sort of most upset with obviously a bit of a fever pitch, what I tweeted that it was a God-forsaken company and people should not give money to it. And I have to own that. That's aggressive. That is actually aggressive in the retrospect. I was very frustrated. And I don't know, I felt like we weren't getting any answers and there were so many lies. And then I was getting attacked for asking all meaningful questions that was within their capacity to answer. And I told you, I definitely, my problem in life is that I can rise to anger very quickly.
And of course, Candace says she's not going to stop.
So is she okay with you now continuing to talk about your theories, or does she still want you to stop?
Well, she didn't ask me to stop. If that's the question that you're asking, is throughout that meeting, did
Well,
she
she
say,
did
"Can you
publicly,
stop?"
obviously. So your response to that is what?
I'm telling you that then we had a conversation, and I was not asked throughout that conversation to stop. And to the contrary, I shared information that I had, and I got information from them.
Right.
That helps
So
me
you will
to
carry on.
focus.
You will carry on.
Yes.
With the theories.
Yes. Until I feel confident of who killed Charlie Kirk, I will not stop investigating this.
And Erica is okay with you doing that?
I don't know how many other ways to answer your question other than saying she did not ask me or request for me to stop in person.
So Erica says stop pretty blatantly, publicly, but because she never said it exactly in the sit down, Candace isn't going to stop. How convenient. So the entire basis for you guys even meeting that lasted over 4 hours, you didn't feel the need to ask if she still wants you to keep going with it or to stop? Oh wait, it was Erica's responsibility. See, not Candace's, because God forbid Candace accept any responsibility.
Because why should I? You want me to be quiet so that you can suppress free speech? I have free speech. And the only reason you're trying to silence me is because you don't want people to know the truth. And you know that I'm getting closer to the truth of this military operation. And they think we're all stupid. Well, we're not going to fall for the psyop.
But here's what happens when Candace is actually challenged to provide real evidence.
When you say you believe that Charlie Kirk was betrayed by someone close to him, what do you mean?
I think that in the coming weeks, there's going to be a lot of financial reports that are coming out. And I, first and foremost, do not believe that Tyler Robinson killed Charlie Kirk. I want to be very clear on that. Whether he was involved, I think the answer is yes. I think that's obvious.
And your basis for saying he didn't act alone is what?
I don't know, maybe the weird Fed messages that were concocted out of thin air that had no timestamp and were written like they were speaking in 1822, among other things. Their lack of an ability to answer any basic questions about what took place.
But do you have any proof that the messages were made up? Because that would be easily proven.
Yeah, but they didn't put timestamps on them, and Discord came out and said they didn't exist.
This was supposedly text messages, not Discord messages. It's my understanding from the indictment.
I actually did not read that they were text messages.
The indictment calls them text messages.
What would it be like the feds are like on a computer, typing it out back and forth?
That's exactly what it is. The feds made up the text messages.
But you don't have anyone from like the FBI telling you that, or law
I have
enforcement?
leaks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Has anyone leaked to you?
And Tyler Robinson
But has anyone said to you, even off the record, like, yeah, we faked these?
I have very strong sources everywhere on both sides.
Well, I look forward to seeing the evidence of that.
Sure. Because when we keep talking about evidence, it's like, who's going to present that evidence? Like the mainstream media? Like who are you expecting to come out?
Yes, that would be a hot story.
No, it wouldn't be.
It would be.
It wouldn't be.
If the FBI, like if I had a source telling me, like if I had proof that the FBI faked those messages, that would be an enormous story.
Yeah, I kind of feel like we live in a post-Epstein world and we know how stories get shut down.
You mean to tell me that you're doing an investigation into Charlie Kirk's death and didn't even read the charging documents? Does that mean all of Candace's mommy sleuths didn't tell her?
On stage with Barry Weiss on Saturday, how do we know? Because our mommy sleuths be everywhere. Then we know how stories get shut down.
Oh, we know how stories get shut down. Well, why haven't you released any of your evidence in your videos? You do your show almost every day and you make an assertion spun out of a small fact, then you tell your followers they're lying to you and they think you're stupid to get all your followers whipped up in a frenzy. She thinks Blake Neff is the one to trust.
The point is, we got Blake Neff, and I want to say, just to reiterate, that I have always maintained that whatever is going on at Turning Point USA, I have not felt that Blake Neff is one of the bad guys, okay? I just have never gotten that particular vibe from him.
But in the very next episode says this about Blake Neff.
That they're maybe not being shared by Blake Neff, who is incredibly unlikable and speaks down to people. And I don't know why he does that.
She was also challenged by Pierce Morgan.
So when you say that somebody at Turning Point USA, Charlie's company, was complicit in his murder, who? Who was?
I believe that there were multiple people at Turning Point who are, as I have said many times, my exact words are, they are engaged in a cover-up of what happened to Charlie on that day.
No, but who was involved in his murder?
I didn't say that they murdered Charlie.
You said that people at Turning Point were complicit in his murder.
No, my exact sentence that I said was that there were people at Turning Point who are engaged in a cover-up.
No, you didn't.
I believe that thoroughly.
Candice, you didn't say that. You said literally.
I did say that on my entire
You said
show.
there were people at Turning Point complicit in his murder.
Okay.
That's what you said.
When you and I were discussing, that's why I said, let's go back. I was applying the logic of a conspiracy to JFK. I said, okay, if JFK, you have people that are complicit. Of course,
Let's
if you
forget
apply that
JFK.
logic, if there
Let's
is a
forget
conspiracy,
JFK.
there's going to be multiple people that are going to be complicit by the time, in order for a large stage murder to
But
happen.
you specifically
so
said, you didn't say
of
complicit
JFK.
in a cover-up. You
No,
said complicit
okay,
in the murder. Because I said, who at Turning Point
let
was
me
involved
clarify for you.
in his murder? And
Let
you
me
said,
clarify for you. Okay, you can keep saying what I said, or you can listen to what I am saying.
Okay.
When I was using the analogy of JFK and we were connecting it, I was basically pushing back on you because you were suggesting that all of these people being involved would be crazy. So I was applying the analogy
I said,
of
I
what
don't
happened to
know.
JFK. Well, you actually, if you go back and
I
listen,
said, I don't
were
know.
suggesting that a
I said,
conspiracy.
you don't know
Okay,
either.
well,
You're floating theories.
when we started
which are
talking about
you're
the JFK
perfectly
thing,
entitled. Listen, let me make it clear.
Piers, I really think you're not holding on to your thoughts here
Candice, let me,
correctly. Okay,
let me spell out my thought very clearly.
When we
to you.
started talking
Let
about
me
JFK, the implication that you were making was that it was crazy to suggest that multiple people could have been involved at different levels.
Candice.
I was then connecting the dots and saying that in order for the JFK assassination to happen, there had to have been tons of people that were complicit,
I understand.
right?
I heard what you said.
Maybe you're the person who takes the cameras down. Maybe you're the person that told him to drive that day. Maybe you're LBJ. So they're not all complicit in the murder, but they're all at different varying stages involved in the cover-up, right? So that's what a grand conspiracy actually is. And I do believe, so you don't have to go back and we don't have to go through it. I'm telling you what I think about Turning Point. I am very known for being honest about what I believe. I'm not exactly a person that you got to pull teeth on.
Sure.
I believe that there are people at Turning Point who are engaged in covering up what happened on that day.
But were any of them engaged in the planning of the murder of Charlie Kirk?
I wouldn't know how it was planned. Absolutely, I can't make that. I cannot confidently make that statement. I can say confidently that I know they're engaged in the cover-up because I've been investigating what happened on that day and what transpired thereafter. I've been clear. I've named those people on my show. I've said they are engaged in a cover-up, and I've listed the lies. So you don't have to try to make something out of what I didn't say. I tell you what I think. It's already controversial. We don't need to get more controversial, okay? Do I think someone at Turning Point pulled the trigger? No. Obviously, I don't think someone at Turning Point pulled the trigger. We don't even know who did pull the trigger. So how can I say that they're...
Did anybody at Turning Point, in your opinion, know that Charlie Kirk was going to be murdered?
There is specifically 2 people at Turning Point USA, and I have communicated that information to Erica and Justin Strife, that I would not be surprised if they had foreknowledge of Charlie Kirk being assassinated.
But do you have any evidence
I'm not going to name... I am not going to name those people, okay, because it's not right for me to name those people until I know for a fact that they did.
Did you give the names Did you give the names to Erica?
Yes, so I absolutely did.
You gave the names to Erica of 2 employees, current employees at Turning Point, who you believe were involved in the preparation for the murder of Charlie Kirk. Is that what you're saying?
I told them that if I were in your shoes, these would be 2 employees that I would look further into. That's
And what evidence do you have that they had any prior knowledge of the murder?
Because I don't have concrete evidence is the reason why I'm not naming them. So I've been
So you've got
responsible.
no
I'm not
evidence,
saying,
but you're telling the widow that these 2 people may have been involved in the murder. But you see the problem.
Well, what the evidence for it is people that there is not concrete evidence. It's like you're trying to get me to say something that I never said and then asking me to defend it.
No, I'm asking what evidence
let's
you've
actually
got.
go to. You're asking me privately. Did I communicate to them that I think you should look further? That's called an investigation, Piers. Okay. So what you're doing is a strategy of like if somebody dies, you're saying to the police, you can't ask any questions about anybody unless you have concrete evidence. We're at the stage of investigation.
I'm not saying
yes,
that.
you can. And let me give people in the public the permission to do this. Follow your instinct. If you feel something is off, keep asking questions.
No problem.
Until you get concrete evidence. And when you have concrete evidence, you should name those people. I don't have the concrete evidence.
You have named other
people. I find there inconsistencies.
Okay. But you have named other people.
Just folded like a lawn chair. No evidence. She also said that she never said that they were complicit. But guess what? In video, we get to go back and see exactly what you said.
Obviously, for this to have been pulled off, there had to have been multiple people involved. There had to have been people at Turning Point that were complicit in having this happen. I didn't say that they murdered Charlie.
You said that people at Turning Point were complicit in his murder.
No, my exact sentence that I said was that there were people at Turning Point who are engaged in a cover-up.
No, you didn't.
I believe that thoroughly.
Candice, you didn't say that. You said literally.
I did say that on my entire show.
You said there were people at Turning Point complicit in his murder.
Okay.
That's what you said.
Obviously, for this to have been pulled off, there had to have been multiple people involved. There had to have been people at Turning Point that were complicit in having this happen.
You say complicit in the murder. Because I said who at Turning Point was involved in his murder. And
Let
you
me
said,
clarify for you. Okay, you can keep saying what I said or you can listen to what I am saying.
Okay.
When I was using the analogy of JFK and we were connecting it, I was basically pushing back on you because you were suggesting that, you know, all of these people being involved would be crazy. So I was applying the analogy of what happened to JFK. Well, you actually, if you go back and listen.
I said, I don't know JFK's assassination. And we recently had a lot of the files released, which did not conclusively prove any of these things, right? Now, again, I don't know what happened to JFK.
No,
make it clear.
Piers, I really think you're not holding on to your thoughts
Candace,
here correctly.
let me spell out my thought very
Had to have been people at Turning Point that were complicit in having this happen. My entire
You said there were people at Turning Point complicit in his murder.
Okay.
That's what you said.
I really think you're not holding on to your thoughts
Candace,
here correctly.
let me spell out my thoughts. And yes, Candace has said that TPUSA had their leader assassinated in broad daylight. She said it multiple times, and here's a clip where Candace is talking about Cam Higbee being paid by TPUSA, and I quote, had their leader assassinated in broad daylight. Listen.
So in theory, Cam Higbee, who was laughing off the idea of an assassination attempt, is being paid by the very organization that just had its leader assassinated in broad daylight in front of the entire world. I find that to be interesting. Paid by the very organization that just had its leader assassinated. Big. I didn't have the players. I certainly didn't suspect Turning Point USA would be, as I believe, involved in a cover-up. And we can talk about what the motives are of that. They could be financial motives. It doesn't necessarily mean they were involved in plotting to kill him. And I've never said that. Cam Higbee is on the payroll of Turning Point USA beginning in August of this year. So in theory, Cam Higbee, who was laughing off the idea of an assassination attempt, is being paid by the very organization that just had its leader assassinated in broad daylight in front of the entire world. It doesn't necessarily mean they were involved in plotting to kill him. And I've never said that.
What else do you need to hear? Now, I get it. Many of you probably like Candace, like many of us did. But apparently not much has changed about her lack of character since before many of you guys knew her politically before 2016. And I have sources that are very close to her, or were very close, if not best friends with her growing up, that told me that Candace was a liar years ago whenever Candace lied about them. And people that actually know this friend know the truth. And at the time I told my friend, it's petty. She really didn't name you in the video. Just let it go. It's not a big deal. Well, my friend warned me. It turns out she was right.
Because I was in this aggrieved stage and I really didn't poke my head up until weeks later when I could stop crying about it every second. Charlie Kirk, my friend, is dead. First, this is fantastic that Preborn is doing this. I just want to remind you guys about Pure Talk. Also reminding you guys about American Financing. Also reminding you guys about GNO Land. Also telling you guys about Just Thrive. You can head over to our website, CandaceOwens.com. You can sign up, buy yourself a hat.